right. Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening. Good evening.
Um, good morning in the Philippines. Welcome to another episode of Flip Your Switch with Grace. Today we have a special um, speaker. Her name is Elizabeth Canlas Pineda, a doctor of medicine and also clinical and counseling psychology, ordained missionary pastor. She is a motivational speaker, psychospiritual educator, presently giving services and counseling all types of emotional issues due to traumas, chemical dependency, substance abuse, physical violence, and child abuse, and all of medical illness such as cancers. So she's got a long list of work. She also has a Master of Science in Clinical Psychology, De La Salle University, Manila, Doctor of Medicine, Angeles University Foundation, also works at real estate, Bachelor in Science and Medical Technology of University of Santo Tomas. So I met our speaker, and again from Facebook, I think 3 days ago, and I was just like looking for someone who could share something about emotional stress, a psychologist or experts, medical doctors that address stress, especially nowadays, also the anxiety. So I saw her name in Facebook and I said, hi, hello, and the rest is history. So without further ado, let me welcome Dr. Beth Canlas. Take it away.
Pineda. Magandang gabi po. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning in the Philippines. And I'm really honored and I really thank you, Miss Grace, na pinatulan mo ako. As my passion really, is to talk about things, especially emotional issues. And hopefully, meron tayong may share for today.
Yes. So we are going to talk about your passion, your advocacy, which
Mhm.
is dealing with stress. So
Oh, yeah.
how did you start, having this, talk or the
Uh-huh.
of the advocacy of dealing with mental issues?
It wasn't planned, but I think since that time na nagkaroon na ako ng isip, mahilig akong makihalubilo. And every time that I'm around people, I really listen to them. And then na-overwhelm ako na ang dami nilang mga problema. But because of that, para bang na-develop ko yung art of listening. And then while they talk, ini-envision ko ba kung ako yung nasa situation kaya nila, paano ko yan i-handle, you know. So I think I was brought to that kind of calling. And lo and behold, basta na lang ako nagsishare, basta na lang ako nagbibigay ng advices, and people tend to listen. And so with that, sinunod ko lang yung desire ko ba? Sinunod ko na siya ng sinunod. Sabi ko, I really wanted to touch people. I really want to hear many stories. And so kung ano no yung pinasok ko, so I became a doctor. But then mas nagiging passionate ako when, sorry to say, when a patient is about to die, doon ako talagang nag-e-effort ba to be able to talk to them. And I found that very fulfilling. So with that, sabi ko, parang parang ang gusto ko lang talaga kinakausap yung mga tao. But the only way to do that is if you do not have any access to the hospital or sa mga places na kung saan ay pwede kang lumapit sa kanila, there's no way na pwede ka lang basta magka-counsel, somehow you know that you should have the personality. So in a way, the only reason why I took that course of being a psychologist or being a doctor or being a pastor is so that syempre, people will listen. Hindi naman sila makikinig na lang ng tao sa kalsada eh. Let us face it, they will look for the credentials eh. So, credentials ay para magkaroon ka lang ng authority to talk. Of course, kahit naman saan ka, you can always share eh. Pero iba yung level na when they know that you know what you talk about, they listen. Kaya doon ako napasok kung bakit eto ako ngayon.
That's right. I agree. A lot of people will listen to you if they know that you have something to share, right?
Right.
And it's a sad thing. Sometimes they look at like you were a title, you were being
Yeah.
a doctor, and I could relate because sometimes like when I talk to people, they'll ask me, "Are you a doctor?"
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
If I have a time, I go back and be a
yeah,
doctor.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so you mentioned about like listening to problems. What are the things that you are really passionate? I know there's a lot of like uh, medical issues. What are your favorites to listen to? Like,
Um, Actually, when I find things really challenging, like yung tao is nasa end of the rope na siya. It's like they don't find any more hope. Some cancer patients, of course, sasabihin ng doctor, I am sorry, you only have 3 more months to live, 5 more, 6 more, something like that, And then even in a relationship, kung mag-asawa, nasa end na rin sila. Para bang I tend to go towards that kind of a situation ba? Na towards death, towards broken relationship, towards hopelessness. So yung passion ko is like madugo talaga. Example is on domestic violence. Ni-rape yung sariling anak. You hear this, or hindi nothing against religion, but I have had several cases of people from the church, mga nasa simbahan, na inabuse ng priest from the time na bata siya hanggang sa tumanda na siya. So all these kind of things that are supposed to be kept in secret kasi kinahihiya. Yun ang talagang para sa akin ay I'm so passionate about. Yung parang bang I feel like I have to fight for these people. Yun, ganun ako ka-passionate, The dying patients na they don't believe in God, they are so hopeless and they are so helpless. Yun ang mga challenges na gusto ko talagang pinupuntahan.
wow, that's amazing. That's a really hard job you have right there. But having that passion, and we thank you. We thank you for doing that.
Well, it is a calling, when God calls you, wala ka namang ibang magiging daan, kundi if you do not listen, you become miserable. When you listen, it is so fulfilling. Kahit na gaano siya kabigat, knowing that it is what you were called for, you find it fulfilling ba when you do something like that.
Okay. So on the patients that's dying, what are the usual lines that you tell them?
Well, of course, you will have to be mindful of the policies. You do need to ask the permission, of the person who's dying. Na hindi ka naman pwedeng basta na lang magpapasok, di ba? It is very rare that a person who is dying will refuse a prayer. And so, lagi lang na, would you like for me to pray with you? Because even God himself, hindi siya namumuwersa ng tao. he will have to ask, you have to use your free will. Otherwise, useless, kung hindi free will ang ginamit ng tao para mag-decide, then that is null and void, di ba? Kasi wala siyang free will eh. Pero, so yun ang una mong gagawin. You would ask the person, would you like to pray with me? And so that's what I do. And of course, hindi naman lahat i-assume mo na naniniwala ba ito sa Diyos? Sino ba Diyos tinatawag niya, etc., etc. But you always get the chance, to introduce kung ano ang pinangahawakan mo. When they see what you have, they ask, bakit napaka-peaceful ng ng aura mo, why are you always smiling? Bakit parang wala kang problema? Yung mga ganon. And of course, tayo mga Pilipino, lagi na lang natin sinasabi, marunong lang akong magdala. But the real reason there is, kasi hindi ako ang nagdadala. That is the real reason there. Hindi ako ang nagdadala ng problema, kaya ako nakangiti. And then they ask, sino ba yan? And among the Filipinos, it's not difficult to even mention about God dahil majority sa mga tao sa atin are Christians. They believe in God. Lumaki tayo. It is a Christian country, right? Walang kahirap-hirap yon because when you talk about God, they already know, Ibang istorya pag nandito ka sa abroad, you just don't tell people, oh, you believe in God, it is not what they want to hear. So pupunta ka dun sa ano bang kailangan ng taong ito at this very moment. So you approach them that way. Anything that I can do for you, minsan sabihin nila, I just want to talk to my family. I just want to let them know that I love them. Yung mga ganyan-ganyan, But there is always a chance to say, would you like me to pray for you? So that is what I do. And I love it, dahil I am given the chance, to share. And then, naipapasok ko yung sino ba yung dinadasalan ko, And then when they close their eyes, I know that they are already saved, sabi ko, thank you, Lord, and he died. Kaya sabi nila, why are you smiling? Namatay ang pasyente mo. It is because I was able to share the gospel. I was able to at least give hope to that person that alam ko na yung taong yun ay diretso na siya. Kung nandyan yung Panginoon, diretso na siya doon sa kanya.
Oh, right. So you mentioned about so on this talk we're just gonna be like, question and answer because it's really getting to know you more and what you do. You
Yeah.
mentioned about this is really a hard topic. You mentioned about helping those rape victims.
Yeah.
So how do you empower those people? Like of course, they have the feeling of what are those things that they have experienced. It's really you had a hard time dealing with as well as a practitioner.
It is difficult to help yung mga rape victims kung yung the manner that they were brought up ay baligtad, dysfunctional. Just an example, I have this lady, nursing student, na pinalaki siya na dapat she will have to accept and be submissive to the father, regardless of what the father does. Ang malungkot dito is they all sleep together. Alam mo naman sa province, diba? They all sleep together. The mom, the dad, siya at ibang mga malilit na siblings. And what happens is the dad nagko-crossover. Nagko-crossover and repeatedly rapes, the daughter. Ang malungkot nito, the mom doesn't do anything. So ngayon, itong bata, lumaki siya na akala niya yan ang normal. So, yun ang mga challenging, when they don't really know what is normal, what is not, So what happened then when this lady got pregnant by the mom, by the dad, nagkaroon ng boyfriend na isa pang pasaway na doktor na inabuso kasi nagsusumbong yung bata, this nurse, nagsusumbong sa kanyang doctor na resident, and ended up being raped also by that doctor. So, para sa kanya, wala nang kwenta ang kanyang dignity, those are the challenging things, but the only way talaga to be able to help those people is to educate them, educate. But if they're not asking for any help, wala kang magagawa, you can only pray and present to them na this is, kasi merong lang nagsumbong na kapitbahay, kaya lang bigla kang na-involve sa istorya, And then slowly, you will have to educate the child, na hindi naman kailangan mangyari yung mga ganong bagay, kailangan kasi you really have to educate. And of course, the other part naman, yung mga they already know na it is not supposed to be the case, Ito na yung mga nasira na, nadungisan na and all that. Ang hirap isipin, di ba? So, how do I deal with those people, They feel so dirty. They feel na they just want to die, etc., etc., you can still empower those people, who are victims of these cases, kasi kailangan mong i-present sa kanila na as human, hindi lang body ang pinag-uusapan. Dito ka na medyo ile-level mo na yung as a human being, you are made of body, soul, and spirit. And then ipapasok mo sa kanila na they can always kill the body, but they can never kill your soul, they can never kill your spirit. That you are not just a physical person, there are still two things na pwede mong galawin sa iyong buhay. And so, itry mong ipasok sila sa kanilang spirituality at dun sa kanilang na this body is just temporary. Itry mo silang i-detach doon.
That's a great
Yeah.
a great learning for me. It's like
I know.
in a different field, but I encountered those people,
Mhm.
and I am not a psychologist, and I really don't have a background in what I do if I have like those cases, because I work also with different cases, and some of them, even if it's a low back pain, if some of them you have to deal with those things. It's just like it's a
Right.
whole treatment. So sometimes you just have to listen, and that's the reason why I'm so interested on how you handle those cases. So
Mhm.
and you also mentioned about you have a lot of specialties. So also like studying you how about those how do you handle stress of like those people who are victims of domestic violence?
Yeah. Ang domestic violence kasi, you always have to remember yung cycle. Walang ma-abuse kung walang nang-aabuso. Okay? So may dalawang end, no? Isang abuser, isang na-abuse. So pag hindi mo inaddress ang both ends, the cycle will just continue on and on and on. Kasi ang mangyayari, pwedeng tanggalin mo yung victim ng violence away from the house, right? Ililipat mo siya. So you try to rehabilitate yung person. Tinry mo siyang ma-empower, etc., etc. In the meantime, the perpetrator stays at home. Hindi mo siya tinuruan, hindi mo siya tinulungan. Pagka binalik mo ngayon yung abused person dito sa perpetrator, babalik na naman yung cycle. So in the most domestic violence, you just don't deal with the victim. You have to deal with the perpetrator also. Maraming studies, it has been proven na the person who abuses, most of the time, is also a person na naabuso.
Oh, okay.
Yep, hindi naman automatically ganon, but majority of the time, this abuser has been abused himself. So, ang pananaw niya, pinas on na niya sa kanyang mga anak, So you also have to deal with the person, aalamin mo anong issue ng taong ito, bakit siya naging abuser. So, gagawan mo rin yan ng therapy. So, therapy sa perpetrator, therapy din sa victim, So, you have to deal with the two persons involved, Otherwise, it will just be a vicious cycle. So, that's how you deal with domestic violence.
That if the perpetrator is willing to submit.
Yeah, kung hindi siya willing, the law, kinukulong sila, right?
Oh, okay.
Kinukulong sila, di ba? Pinipick up sila. Sa atin, the Department of Human Services, tinatanggal yan, kinukulong yan, in the Philippines, hindi. They hide yung issue. Kasi kahihiyan nila yan eh. Kahihiyan sa pamilya eh. Kaya ang nangyayari, sige lang, bugbugan sarado without telling anyone, But then, mga tao ngayon, medyo open na sila, lumalabas na sila doon sa ganong klaseng kulungan na hindi naman ikaw dapat ang mahihiya. You are a victim. Bakit mo kailangan itago yung binibiktima ka?
Yes, I am totally agree with you. Like there's like a culture like here we pretty much exposed here in United States.
Oh yeah.
And victims here are really empowered. They, as compared to back in the Philippines, the culture is, I'll just keep this as a secret because it's embarrassing. It's
embarrassing. Yeah,
embarrassing and then they are so protective of their family that even if it's bad already, they have to not really say something about what happened because of that mindset. So,
right.
you said that, I know it's easy for us to say in the medical field, but can you give can you say something to empower this people that's listening on that situation? What will you tell them?
Okay, about domestic violence, you mean?
Yeah, like in the
Okay.
Philippines, it's those people. If you are about to talk to people that's been victimized of, like, any domestic violence, be it a rape or domestic violence. So how would you? And they're so embarrassed. They are so at lost. If
Right.
they're listening right now, how will you tell them? What will you tell them?
First of all, first of all, walang sino man ang may karapatan na pagdapuhan ka ng kamay. Kahit nanay mo yan, kahit tatay mo yan, dahil that is violating ba ang iyong karapatan bilang isang tao, that you are supposed to be respected, that you are supposed to be protected. You have to realize na hindi ka dapat matatakot when you need to report someone, who is physically abusing you. Dahil una, how worse can it get? Sinasaktan ka na eh. Kung magre-report ka ba, matitigil ba yung pananakit sa'yo, or meron bang possibility na patuloy ka pa rin masasaktan? So at least when you report, you are giving yourself a chance na pwedeng matigil ang abuso. rather than not talking, automatically tuloy-tuloy na ang abuses na yan. So when you report, it's like you're giving yourself the chance na magkaroon ka ng pagkakataon to protect yourself. The sad part about domestic violence is, most especially sa mga nasasaktan, mga sinasaktan, are what we call the battered wives. Ang battered wife syndrome, they become totally dependent on their husbands, believing that they cannot live without them. The reason why ayaw nilang lumabas sa relasyon, isa sa mga reasons is they don't want to show that it is a sign of inadequacy para sa kanila if they are not able to control the man. So they don't tell others. Yung iba naman, they believe na the husband is only the provider, lalo na wala silang trabaho. The husband is the only person that provides. So rather than gugutumin sila, they will just continue on with the relationship, pero you have to think, na may pagkain ka nga, nakakakain ka ba? So what is the difference, like if you give up this person, at least kung mayroong pagkain, makakakain ka. Pero if you do not give up this person, dahil lagi kang nasasaktan, masakit ang loob mo, kahit pa anong sarap ng pagkain mo, nalalasahan mo ba ang pagkain na yan? Simple lang, think, na don't ever make it an excuse na this is the only man na who can really sustain yung inyong financial needs. There will always be a way, Dahil una, remember, bago ka nag-asawa, nabuhay ka before you even got married. Without this man, you were alive. Ngayon, nag-asawa ka lang, bigla mo na sasabihin na I cannot live anymore. Does that make sense? Right? If you were able to live without this man before meeting him, you can also live again without this man because hindi naman siya kasama sa iyong whole body system para mag-survive. You can definitely survive without him. Of course, hindi naman laging hiwalayan ang pinag-uusapan, But we are talking about, a case na natitreten na ang inyong buhay. Tumakbo ka na.
Yes, run. Run away. Far
away,
So for those who have, so they got the education, get the empowerment. For those who doesn't like to change,
okay,
what is there to say?
Okay, una, hindi ka pwedeng manghimasok sa buhay ng may buhay kung hindi ka nila hinihingan ng tulong. But meron tayo ngayong batas even in the Philippines na kahit hindi nagre-report ang mga taong involved, pero nawi-witness ng kapitbahay, pwede mo yan ipabarangay. Yep, at least meron na tayong ganung batas, na it doesn't have to come from the people na involved. Any person can already report if there is something happening doon sa sitwasyon na yon. Bakit may karapatan na makialam ang yung neighbor? Because yung violence na yon, pag hindi mo na-contain, mag-explode, right? Pag nag-explode yan, madadamay ang community mo. Kaya may karapatan ka na let these people know they need to stay at peace, dahil pretty soon, madadamay na ang yung community. Kaya pwede mo silang pakialaman dahil dinidisrupt mo na ang peace ng yung barangay. Kaya meron ka pa ring meron kang way, You just don't keep quiet, you can report.
Yes, report. Okay. So you also mentioned about your passion in unequality. Can you tell me about about it?
Medyo ano 'to, medyo mabigat ito,
Just like
Um,
maybe just a simple or example, or just to elaborate on, just like what you do and how you
okay.
do.
Okay, ganito. Isa sa where I was, what we call the God, gender issues, gender inequality. We have to think about this. When we talk about the gender, it is not necessarily yung sex mo as a male or a female, right? When you talk about the gender, yung lalaki na gustong maging babae o yung babae na gustong maging lalaki, right? So we're talking about gender inequality. Saan tayo papasok ngayon, as a counselor, as a psychologist, as an advisor? Ano bang pwede mong pakialaman diyan? We should not discriminate people. We don't discriminate them, but not necessarily na sumasang-ayon tayo kung ano man ang kanilang preferences. We really have to stand our ground, right? Stand our ground, pero it doesn't mean na when you stand your ground, i-discriminate mo itong tao na medyo malambot o kaya yung malambot dapat na naging matigas, right? Pinuprotektahan lang natin sa kanila is yung kanilang protection sa kanilang pagiging whatever they are, that they are supposed to be provided also, kung anong meron ang mga straight, dapat kung kaya rin ng mga taong ito to be able to have what they can sa kanilang mga pamamaraan, wala tayo doon. So, kung kalimbawa may mga trabaho na diniscriminate mo because gay siya, o kaya diniscriminate mo because lesbian siya, doon tayo papasok. Dahil this is what we call equality. Equality. May karapatan silang magtrabaho. Hindi mo pwede silang hindi tanggapin just because ito yung kanilang mga sexual preferences. That is what we mean, when we deal with equality rights. Tapos yung issue ba na saan nga ba dapat, kasi ito naging masalimuong question ito can the people with gender issues, kung halimbawa gusto nilang gumamit ng restroom ng pambabae, lalaki sila, papayagan mo ba sila? That is what they are fighting for. Papayagan mo ba sila? So I think the government found a way to deal with that issue. Gumawa ka ng pangatlong restroom. Right? I mean, if you are the parent, of a person, like, libawa, ang anak ko, babae,
Yeah.
papayag ba ako na ang isang gay ay magre-restroom kung nasaan yung aking anak? I am sorry, but whether you like it or not, ang lalaking ito, iihi pa rin siya na nakatayo. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not because you want to discriminate them, but hygiene na lang. Hygiene. Dahil ang aking anak, uupo siya sa toilet bowl. But the gay, iihi siya na nakatayo. So anong mangyayari sa uupuan ng aking anak? Mabuti kung laging naglilinis ng CR. Buti kung laging accessible yung anumang toiletries na kakailanganin niya. That's the only reason why na no, I'm not for that. I am not against them, but we still have to accept the reality na dito ka dapat talaga. Kung gusto mong irespeto kita, irespeto mo rin yung aking anak. Kasi kahit na gay ka, as far as your needs ay concerned, panlalaki pa rin ang kailangan para sa'yo. That's how I will do it, you know. I am sorry, people, but that is my stand.
So, if you're watching, guys, comment below and ask questions. I have some comment here. Angela Hatfield, she said, "God bless you, Doc Beth, for being a voice of God. There's a power of peace and prayer, and I'm sure these patients are grateful for you sharing God's love and forgiveness during the last days of life." So,
Amen.
everybody's watching here. So, um, a lot of my followers, they can understand English, Doc. So
Okay, okay.
you the Filipinos can understand English, so
Okay.
you have to consider them to as to equality, Doc.
I know. I'm sorry about that. You know,
You
it is
can talk
it is a Filipino thing. You know, we become clannish. We tend to forget, but we didn't mean to disrespect. Okay, I will try to this is speak in English right now.
of that restroom is to have a third restroom. That's with have the if there's a budget for it. So that's
Yeah,
great to know.
right.
Next is like those people. I have a lot of like things around here. This COVID, this isolation. People are in Paris. We call it sympathetic mode. Like they're afraid because of this COVID won't stop. And for
Mm-hmm.
the people here in America, it's getting better, right? And I
Right.
just I just came from a party and I was like, there's no mask and everybody
Oh wow.
looks like normal here. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So, which is I feel like great because like wow, it's coming back. But
Right.
when I ask somebody from different states or from different also in Manila, there's
Uh-huh.
have this lockdown, and a lot
Right.
of people. That's the reason why I want to. I know we started with heavy cases, but I want to
Okay.
focus too on anxiety, being
All right.
able to control their emotions and
Uh-huh.
their fear. What
Uh-huh.
is your message to them?
Okay. First of all, you have to remember that with or without COVID, there will always be stress. There will always be anxiety. The only difference now is with this COVID virus. It seems like we don't really know much about it yet. So that's the reason why there is more fear. You know, of course, the fear of the unknown, right? So the only way for you to get rid of that kind of fear is to find out, you know the facts. It is always a way to remove fear is you need to get some information. um, I just need to get my water. um, if you can give me just a minute.
While Doctor is having a water break, we will also talk when he comes back. We will talk about.
Okay.
Oh,
That's what happens when you talk a
that's,
lot.
that's
Sorry
a
about that.
water break. Did you go to the third restroom?
Yeah. Okay. So, anxiety, all you need to know is know the facts. That is the first step. You know the facts, you know what is there to be fearful about. Second, listen to the credible system. Like, you just don't listen to the media, to unsolicited information. The best thing is listen to WHO policies, WHO advices, and if your Ministry of Health or the Department of Health is a reliable source in your country, then do that. Listen to that. So always find the credible resources so that you don't get overwhelmed about the things that are making you anxious about. Lockdown, you lose your resources. A lot of it is your finances. So if it is finances, then find a way where you can find it. If it is about health, then find a way on how to protect your health. So always try to target whatever makes you anxious. If you're not aware what is making you anxious, it helps to do a journal, like during the time of the day. You can observe yourself, what is it during the day that you have been doing, and try to figure out, was there a moment when you felt like you're in panic, when you felt like you were anxious. Write it down. So if you do that and keep on doing all this journal, within a day, within the week, and you see there is a common thing that is written there where you became so anxious, then you will be able to address that kind of a problem. So lockdown will end. Of course, we all know that nothing is forever. So there is hope, definitely hope. You know. Um, so what else, Miss Grace?
Okay, to add to, so I've been coaching low carb fasting. A lot of this anxiety, that's one also my specialty. Uh,
Uh-huh.
as to anxiety, like fear, those are actually um, originated also from what we put in our body, like as
Right.
from watching television. Those
Uh-huh.
a lot of these people that tends to have a negative thought would
Right.
create anxiety,
Right.
and people that thinks a positive thought would create with uh, give us creativity.
Right.
So we have to control those thoughts. As I've
Right.
said, from what last time that I talk about, in 24 hours we have 60,000 by study in research,
Uh-huh.
60,000 thoughts. So with the
Mhm.
60,000 thoughts, we have a control for that. If
Right.
like especially we mentioned about the television. So
Uh-huh.
if this television, you have to assess if this television you're watching the COVID or just
Uh-huh.
it tends to get about 30,000 thoughts on that
Right.
day. So you have to stop that. You have to stop watching
Mhm.
television, reading
Right.
negative. Aside from that,
Uh-huh.
you also have to stop eating sweets, eating carbs, because that
Mhm.
tends to have an inflammation in our gut.
Right. Right. Mhm.
Inflammation on your gut, that's
Uh-huh.
one that causes us to have this, more of sympathetic uh,
Right.
symptoms like fear,
Uh-huh.
anxiety, uh,
Uh-huh.
controlled thoughts,
Mhm.
like brain fog. So
Right.
really
Right.
have it's like a holistic approach.
Right. Right.
Yes. So
Right.
you take care of the thoughts, mindset, and also your nutrition. And
Right.
also less chemicals from your usual things that you put in your body, such as lotions and things.
Yes.
Those are actually cumulative
Mhm.
in our body. All right,
True.
going back to the Torah.
Uh-huh.
So what else did I not touch on your, or we're just trying to um, discuss just like few of a lot of your expertise.
Not really. Trying to just share,
So
whatever, with
before
you guys.
I continue with your expertise,
Uh-uh.
I know you more. Like, do you how many? Well, how did you started from Philippines to here, and Do you have a family? I know you have a son. Can you tell me about your son?
A precious son. I'm just proud to say that somehow I think I have influenced him a lot because he's somehow in the same field, although he's more into the special kids. He deals with autism, behavioral interventionist. I would say my son is really a godly man, not just because he's my son, but I know because ever since he was a child, whenever he sees homeless kids, he always tells me to, Mom, let's take them home. You
Oh,
know, he wants to put them in a shelter, and even with pets, same with me, he would love, he goes, I would like to put a shelter just to have all these pets safe, um, and I was just amazed because he's got all this kind of patience. I sometimes lose my patience, even with normal kids. But can you imagine him, dealing with special kids? Sometimes he would come home, beaten by some kids because of their tantrums, So that is where my son is, I think we call it the mom and the son tandem most of the time, because we talk a lot about how is your client, and he would ask me, oh, how is your client, and I would talk about hospice care, and he would talk about the special kids. That is how we do things here at home. Everything psychological.
yeah, that's the reason why I asked about your son, because get really interested of knowing him more, and he will be my guest also because we shared the same advocacy, like the
Yep, yep.
autism, and I'm so excited, and I think God really have plans for us to meet
Thank you. Mhm.
because
I
he's
know. I know.
your son, and I'm excited to have him also on
Uh-huh.
your Switch with Grace program. You are
God willing.
you're being watched apart because I have like 8 groups here. You're probably some of them are sleeping, but then I will put this in.
Wow.
Everybody could have an access tomorrow or forever. So we are being watched all over the world. We have this. I'd like to say hi to our viewers from Flip Your Switch with Grace, from Lane, from I cannot read it, but Global TV, and you will be this will be recorded in YouTube. Don't worry if you're already sleeping. I know it's late here in America. So, um, all right. So next topic, doc. Describe yourself in 3 words.
I love you.
Like people, I know you have a lot of supporter right now. We have Amanda here, and your
Hello,
friends
my doctor,
watching.
my favorite doctor, Amanda.
Yeah, hello, Doc Amanda, and thank you for watching. And also, would you like to say hi to your friends and just
Oh
say
yeah. Well, let me take this opportunity. Of course, I would like to greet my sisters. Two sisters are having their birthdays. That's my sister Len, a beautiful sister Len, and our youngest sister, eldest, Mel. They're having their birthdays this June 2nd and 3rd. Happy birthday! Love you guys. And of course, to all our birthday celebrants. And June Bride, huh? Have a happy life after with your coming wedding, because there are some June Brides. Do we do virtual weddings though?
all right. So, hello to your fans.
Hello.
So,
Thank you. Thank you for
yeah,
listening. Thank you for being here.
yeah, I'd like to also to invite them. This program, Flip Your Switch with Grace, where is actually for I started this program for those
Uh-huh.
who are new here listening, especially your followers. I started this program, I think March.
Wow.
Yeah, and I
COVID, huh?
yeah. Well, actually, just this March, just
Oh,
March.
okay. A year
I
ago.
I really am shy doing live. It's really uncomfortable for me. But when the one that really pushes me is when I heard a lot of stories from our area, um, about teen suicides, and
Whoa.
and my functional. I also study in functional medicine. I'll be graduated this December. Um,
Woohoo.
learning. Uh,
Congrats.
and my teachers just challenge us with this COVID, this isolation. A lot of people are getting really getting really like mental issues, anxiety. I have to really I noticed that with like some of my patients. They've been like at home for few months, and then when they go out, they have this, they're like so cautious, and so like they have this anxiety, that it's an anxiety. So
Mhm,
for those
mhm.
parents, what is your advice to the parents right now, for those who are really scared to get out?
Right. If you're familiar with the word pandemic fatigue, you get tired. You get tired being locked out. On a lockdown. You feel like all of a sudden you are out of this world. Everything that is normal became abnormal. So there is too much stress right now, especially with the parents, because they have to stand like the teachers, they have to stand like the caregivers. All of a sudden, they are just at home and are forced, to be staying and just watching their kids grow, teaching them on their academics, and sadly not every parent is really into the technology. um, so how can you even assist your child when you yourself don't even know how to use that computer? That is really a lot of stress. And it is so hard to be creating an atmosphere where the child has been used to a structured environment like in a school, and all of a sudden the house that used to be a place where he's supposed to be relaxing, he finds it hard to even set the mind, like, oh, am I in school or am I just at home? But what happens now is the home became also a school. And in the mind of a child, that kind of association, like being at home, I'm not supposed to be studying. It really gets on the way for the child, to develop that kind of a discipline that I'm at home, but I need to study. So that you need to rewire, the mindset of this child now, that even at home he has to act like he is in school, and it takes a while before that can really happen, because you are trying to create an atmosphere like if you are on the fifth grade. For the past 5 years you've been in school, and all of a sudden you're just at home. And at home, what is the association? You have the television, you have the video games, you have relaxation, you have all the games, and all of a sudden you have to change that kind of thinking, that you are supposed to be at home. This is the hour, that you're supposed to be doing your homework and all that. So it is a bit challenging for a mom to even create that kind of a structure to a child. Um, my suggestion is, set a place where a child can create an atmosphere where there won't be any video games, there won't be any television set, there won't be any music playing. It is all about studies. So set a place in the area of your house, preferably out of the bedroom, because bedroom The association is I am supposed to be relaxing, I am supposed to be only sleeping. So that is the first step. Find a place, where you can create an atmosphere where the child can visualize that he is in fact in school, and be mindful of the time that he has to spend on the internet, because right now, because you're not doing anything, there is a lot of time for a child to just be on the internet playing videos, going on the media and all that. Be mindful, because even on the media there is a lot of sources, for bullying, and that child, if it's is not being guided, is not being checked, for all you know, is already being bullied, through all this media, and not knowing, that he's already exposing himself publicly. And there can be a lot of fake news, that can penetrate or infiltrate, the mindset of a child. So mom has to always be, on the check, on what's going on with the activity of the child. Find also a way where you can give them a break, that they don't just stay home. Even if they are not able to play outside of your home, still provide a place, where can they find some pleasure in playing. Always create some boundaries. This is a playroom, this is a study room, and this is the bedroom.
I love that. I can relate. So I have to fix, have to fix, rearrange. But my kids are back to in persons
Thank God.
since July. So
Uh-huh.
here it's not that bad in this area because like
Yeah.
we're not that populated. So as I've
Right.
said, we already been social distance even before COVID because this is mountainous place.
Yeah, little by little, we're getting there, we're getting there.
All right. So we just have like 3 minutes. So
Oh, wow.
yes, yes, we've been like 1 hour, and it's amazing. I've been learning a lot from you.
Oh, thank you.
What are the things that you want to add, Doctora?
Okay, don't despair, remember, just think about this, because everything now seems to be ordered online. Uh, think of a new cell phone, think of a new gadget, that when it comes, when they deliver it, it is nicely packed, and it's got all these, accessories. It comes with an adapter, it comes with an headphone, etc., etc. So think of yourself as a gadget, you as a human, that when you were delivered, when you were sent, you were nicely packed, but you did not come alone. Together with your package, you as a human, there were other accessories that came with you. And I'll think about our happy hormones, that God sent us ways to be able to survive challenges in life, that even sometimes we don't do anything, it is already given. But you just have to be aware on how to use them. Um, think about your adrenalines, think about your oxytocins, serotonins, dopamines. What are all this, it will boil down to the chemistry of your human body, that with these hormones, it doesn't only take care of your waistline, it takes care of your mental status as well. Because with the right food, with the right chemistry, with the right chemicals that you use in your body, it can take care of your whole sense of being. Um, like what Grace said, be mindful of the food that you eat. because the food that you eat will definitely affect, on the quality of life that you produce. You can tell your future by the kind of food that you eat today. If you eat healthy today, you can be assured that somehow you will live healthy in the future. You eat the wrong food, there is more than likely you might not even live longer than that. Good food, good nutrition.
Yes, I agree. So thank you so much, Doctora. We I know we're running out of time, but I have to thank from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity to know you more. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot.
Thank,
And
thank you for the opportunity, of course, and may God be glorified. We just share what God gave us, and we were hoping that through your page, we are somehow able to do some part of sharing, what we can, so that we can have a better life, we can have a more beautiful life, and when we are together, we can fight. When we are together, we can survive.
yes, and I agree with you. God has plans. Has been sending out people like you. Um, I don't even know you,
I don't even know you, but I know you now.
but I know you now. And we just click. Like when you called me, I just messaged you, and when I you called me, it's just like we thought.
Mhm.
We feel that
Yeah,
we
the
know each
chemistry.
other. We already know each other. We bond when we click. We have same advocacy, and I thank Lord for giving you to this podcast to those people that's listening out there. I know it touches your heart. I know you can relate. So we
Yeah.
will have next topic. Our next topic, Doctora, what did would you like to share our next topic? This is amazing.
Well, we will ask our audience what they want us to talk about, so that they can actually have a hands-on on what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear. We will also do that. We are just here as long as this podcast is alive, as long as God wills us to be there. My heart goes out, and I'm here. Thank you for this opportunity, because truly God says, that He equips those whom He loves.
Oh, I love that part. And so we end this podcast. So for those who following Dr. Beth, would you like to share where they can reach you? And
With you, well, the media is there, the messenger is there, this page is there. I love this because this is one way of reaching out also to my sister in Canada, in London. They're all over the place here in California. So they're listening. Of course, they want to hear their names. My ate Au, beautiful ate Au Dumlao, and my ate Pines Josie, from London. And I love you guys, and help us share the love of God through this page and through the people that we touch. And we hope to see you soon.
thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for those who are listening, who are still awake with us. So don't worry, we will put this in my YouTube on Flip Your Switch with Grace for those who wants to join that group. We have our previous we have probably have like 10 um I just started March, as I've said, but we have a lot of like podcasts already. People like you, Doc. People's that I don't even pay my speakers. These are just people that volunteers their time, their effort, their knowledge to us. And so the goal of this podcast is just to help people get better, help people have see hope, see
Right.
light, and
Yeah.
and God is sending me these people, and I thank you, Lord, and I thank you, Doc.
Thank
Gratitude
you.
to you. I know being mindful. I've learned a lot. Being mindfulness can ease your pain, can lower your stress, and
Oh
can
yeah.
and it makes your food taste better.
Oh, it does. It does.
It can help you improve memory, and I've also learned that it could help you cope with cancer and the dying, the last part of your lives. It can also help with your addictive and obsessive thoughts, and boost your immune system. So
Exactly. Good
yes.
vibes, makes me remember my friends. We call ourselves the vibes group, because we want to always have this kind of good vibes, because the only way to survive life is, go to the positive side. You want to be negative, think about it. Whatever is in your mind, it is what it is,
Yes.
right?
Thank you so much. So by that, we end this podcast. And I thank you so much. Good night. And we love you guys.
Good night. Bye.